It's a clash of greens in the Bluegrass State on a special debut night of USL League One action as we take you to Toyota Stadium. Cameron Lancaster is heralded in the USL Championship circle, now looking to make an imprint at this level of the pyramid. Someone who knows a thing or two about scoring at this level is Leo Castro. Lots of enticing elements to this matchup tonight. We've got Lexington Greenville coming up next. Allow us for a proper introduction. Golasso, meet the USL League One. This evening, we have Greenville visiting Lexington in Georgetown, Kentucky, just outside of Lexington here at Toyota Stadium. Welcome one and all to this broadcast. My name is Mark Schoenster. Ross Davenport is here to my right. Looking forward to getting to the action here. But in preview, let's talk about the home side first. This is a Lexington team with a ton of offensive talent on the roster, but it hasn't quite clicked yet offensively, Ross.
Yeah, Mark, many mouths were left agape. The number of quality offensive signings brought in by Coach Darren Powell and former head coach, now sporting director Sam Stockley this past winter. But when you replace 2/3 of a squad, sometimes it takes a little time to gel. Only one goal in 3 league games so far.
But one player who has made that carryover from last season, Ates Diouf, they may be looking to him to spark something offensively.
Yep, led the team with 15 goals last season. 12 of them came in his final 15 starts of the campaign. But so far in 2024, the former OCB, Austin Bold, San Antonio man off to another sluggish start. Only 3 shots in the 3 League One matches, but he's one of those guys that can turn it on at any time.
Greenville also found goals hard to come by in their last game against Madison, a 0-0 draw despite a penalty from Leo Castro. They'll be looking to turn things around and get back in the goal-scoring category this evening.
Yeah, Coach Rick Wright in his first year as head coach, he said the 0-0 draw felt like a little like 2 points lost rather than 1 game. Jamie Smith, Lexington's nemesis, earning that penalty. There's still plenty of positives to take from the result.
Meanwhile, on the defensive side of things, Chapa Herrera will be tasked with holding down all those different veteran talents that this Lexington team have at their disposal offensively.
Yeah, the homecoming of Sebastian Velasquez was the move that made most noise this offseason, but the addition of this man, defensive midfielder Herrera, was a big one as well. He's had over 100 appearances with El Paso, was one of the standout players in that draw last week with Madison. Helped the Greenville back 3 lock down Christian Cheney and Juan Galindres.
Well, if you're unfamiliar with USL League One, stay locked in. We can have a lot of fun on these games. They can get a little bit crazy sometimes, so you're not going to want to miss a single moment of this one. It's Lexington and Greenville coming up next. We'll see you on the other side of the break with lineups and kickoff.
Lexington is the Kentuckiest place in the world. Just look at it. It's by far the bluegrassiest, the bourbonist. See? The artsiest, and hands down, the horsiest. Oh, look, that one has a baby. I don't know why you would look anywhere else. Looking for the coolest, most Kentuckiest getaway? Look at Lexington.
Girls like you aren't runners, they said. Well, I wasn't.
Let's go ahead and get some pictures of that knee, okay?
6 months, down the drain. Give up
Keep the rhythm going.
or get up?
Perfect.
Who's not a runner now?
You don't have to be an elite athlete to be treated like one. UK Healthcare, Orthopedic Surgery, and Sports Medicine. The power of advanced medicine.
This is where worry turns into relief, where confusion turns into answers. This is where your family can turn to the experts for the big things and the little things. Extraordinary care is right here. UK Healthcare, the power of advanced medicine.
Lexington is the Kentuckiest place in the world. Just look at it. It's by far the bluegrassiest, the bourbonist. See? The artsiest, and hands down, the horsiest. Oh, look, that one has a baby. I don't know why you would look anywhere else. Looking for the coolest, most Kentuckiest getaway? Look at Lexington.
This broadcast was presented by UK Healthcare, is presented by UK Healthcare. I'm Mark Schoenster, Ross Davenport with me. We're moments away from this matchup between Lexington and Greenville here on the Golazo Network. Here's our starting lineups. First off, the home side looking like a four-back system, Ross.
Yep, two changes for Darren Powell. The big one, Tate Robertson to the bench. He only sat on the bench one time last season, so first time he's not starting since July of 2023. Yannick Yankin just coming off international duty with Malta. He will come off the bench.
Meanwhile, for the Greenville side of things, we're going to go with the back three here, Ross, but they could go with the four-back system. We've already seen both of them this season.
Yeah, Nate Schultz, the normal right wing back, out with a back spasm issue. As you mentioned, could be forward at the back. We might see Zion Scarlett a little wider. Hassan Gabo coming back from international duty with Somalia. He's still out, as is Mohamed Say.
Greenville in their third game this season. Meanwhile, this will be the fourth league matchup for Lexington. Cameron Lancaster will look to get things going for the home side, led by Darren Powell. And we are underway here in Georgetown, Kentucky. It's Lexington and Greenville. Let's see what we have in store for us for the next 90 minutes on the CBS Sports Golazo Network. Once again, my name is Mark Schoenster, Ross Davenport with you here. The debut game for USL League One through this medium. Nice day for some football, not the American kind as the lines may suggest. As you see our officiating crew led by Alvin Oliva. It'll be Greenville going left to right, Lexington right to left.
The first thing we're going to notice here is the advanced position of Zion Scarlett. Mark, Rick Wright talked to us during the week, but Leo Castro was a little frustrated at the lack of support up top. And the change tonight, Scarlett more of a winger in his previous games with Greenville. Obviously first year with the team, the youngster. Now almost a 10 role tonight with Leo Castro.
Lexington prodding forward. Asad Liadi getting the start here. Came off the bench in the first two matches that he's played in. This will be the fourth time these two teams have played. Lexington yet to find a victory in them, and they were very close two separate times, but Jamie Smith had some things to say in both of those affairs.
I'm surprised they let it back into the state. A good sign here early for Darren Powell, first corner early on for Lexington. They've only had 4 corners in the first 3 League One games. An early chance here to put some pressure.
A UK Healthcare corner kick. Our head official with the whistle. Service comes bending in. Lancaster was searching for it. And it'll be a goal kick for Greenville.
Well, Lexington was having nightmares about back post corners in their US Open last tour. This was a decent delivery here. Good job by Jamie Smith, though, getting goal side on the dangerous Cameron Lancaster. I would have thought perhaps Greenville would have put an extra body on that man, but they do have some height, the likes of Kalen Fox especially.
You mentioned Leo Castro has been struggling to get some attention with the ball for Greenville. It's a very similar story for Cameron Lancaster. Darren Powell talking about how he seems to always have 2 or 3 bodies on him at any time. So the two veteran strikers up top for these respective sides, their reputation precedes them.
Yeah, both playing so far this season in the single striker role. As you mentioned tonight, Zion Scarlett, he's familiar with that position, played a little bit of center forward with the Jamaican U20 side, scored his first international goal with them. See if he can provide some support for the veteran Colombian here this evening.
Lancaster with an acknowledgement with Brandon Fricke, 2 veterans at the pro level.
1 appearance for Tottenham Hotspur, his former club where he spent his youth. Played alongside Gareth Bale and Luka Modric in that match, Mark. Not a bad little debut to make. Obviously didn't get anything more after that, unfortunately. Came here to America, and what a story in the USL Championship he's been.
Not a lot of better players you can name than those two.
Obviously both went to Real Madrid after that. Apply their trade there. Cameron Lancaster decided to go stateside. Also had some action in MLS as well. In goal that game for Tottenham, Brad Friedel, Mark, former USA men's national team keeper.
How about that? Lexington were knocked down 2-0 in their last game against their rivals, Knoxville. Darren Powell called it a seesaw type of game, basically meaning who was on top, kind of switched back and forth, who controlled the pace of the game. He mentioned that his side did not start well in that one, but they came out the second half better. But then Knoxville took over again, and you get a little bit of a lucky deflection on the goal, and then you commit bodies forward to try to win it back, and that second goal ekes through. Here's Ates Diouf, trying to get by Evan Lee. Diouf squares it across. Lancaster taps it back. It's an excellent exchange, and Onan denied by Garner.
Greenville players were begging for the flag. It wasn't offside. It was a lovely time run by Onan, and a good save by Garner.
We'll get another look at it here.
That's another UK Healthcare Lexington Sporting Club corner.
Lovely ball by Cano. He might have just caught Tyler Pollack napping a little bit. You saw Tyler Pollack take the step out. It was perhaps a split second too late.
Another UK Healthcare corner kick coming your way. Onan with the service. That one's still skyward.
Bit of a clash of heads, I think, on that clearance.
Well, it's Jamie Smith and head contact, which are two things that happen rather frequently, unfortunately for Jamie Smith.
They go together like Kentucky and Bourbon. Smith and head collisions. He's one of those guys that loves to get everything stuck into wherever that ball is. He was bandaged up last week. That was on the front of his head, the gash last week. We'll see how referee Oliva decides to restart this one. You can see Jamie Smith with the bandage on his eyebrow there where he had the stitches last week. Hopefully that stays put. Jamie Smith just saying, I'm fine. I've had a lot worse head contact than that. Jamie Smith, son of current Charlotte FC, former Norwich Villa, Leicester manager Dean Smith. Played his college ball at NC State.
The Wolfpack playing right about now in March Madness.
I'm sure we'll be checking the score at the halftime.
They're up against Shaka Smart's Marquette team. There's a DJ Burns, the guy who plays on an NC State team. It's another player who loves some contact. I'm sure Jamie Smith appreciates that about his game. A new era of the USL kicks off in April. Join us Saturday, April 6th on CBS as Louisville City FC take on Indy 11 at 4 p.m. Eastern at Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, kicking off the first ever national broadcast of the USL on the CBS networks. The first of many great things in this USL partnership with the CBS sports family.
It's exciting times, Mark. No doubt about it. Listen, the more people that can access these games, the better.
Of course, we welcome you in here today on the CBS Sports Network, Golasso Network. Whether you're tuning in through Paramount Plus or through your provider or whatever other avenue there's potentially there to get you to this spot, we welcome you in.
Spend a lot of time this week telling people how to access Golasso. There's so many different ways, whether it's on your phone, your computer, on the TV. Listen, 24/7 soccer, you can't beat it. Got morning footy in the mornings as well, if you like to wake up with a bit of it.
Brandon Fricke doing well there to ensure Azad Liadi did not get his feet on that ball, at least not in a constructive way.
Yeah, this veteran back three is going to have their work cut out for them tonight with the pace and athleticism of the front. Let's call it a front five almost when Jaden Oden pushes forward. He's playing more defensive, listed as more of a defensive midfielder tonight. Oden more of an attacking midfielder by trade. Saw that with Madison last season and so far this season with Lexington, his first year with the team.
Jamie Smith Lofts that one in. Scarlett trying to hack for it. It'll be Lexington who win possession.
You compare this Greenville backline, who have been together for, is it 5 seasons now, Mark, to the Lexington back four tonight. It's three of the four. This is their first year with Lexington. Kaylin Fox, the only holdover from last season. 14, we mentioned 14 departures and 14 additions for Darren Powell after last season's, I don't know if it was a disappointing campaign, Mark, but with the talent they had there at their disposal, they were a very exciting team to watch. Just had some rough patches at the beginning and at the end of the season that led to them missing the playoffs. But man, what a winter. It was almost weekly. You'd see the announcement of who they'd signed, and you'd be like, what? So it hasn't come together yet, but it's just going to be a matter of time. It's almost like North Carolina that previous year, right? Those guys they were bringing in before they went up to the championship, obviously won the title. There's a lot of people expected them to do with the amount of talent they brought in last season. It didn't take them a while to get going last year, North Carolina. They were so good from start to finish.
John Bradford, one of the guys, associates that Darren Powell liked to keep tabs on in USL League One. I asked him in the years between his stint as the coach of Fort Lauderdale, which used to be a club that played in USL League One, but then they left for MLS Next Pro. I asked him just how much did he pay attention to USL League One soccer during that time he was away from the league, and he says, well, I mean, I'm a bit of a maniac for soccer, so I'm always tuning into some sort of football, and you try to keep tabs on people you have connections with, John Bradford being one of them for Darren Powell. Diouf. Now Cano slips it inside. A much-needed challenge there from Fricky, or else that was going to slip to Ates Diouf.
You saw Jamie Smith at that right wing-back spot having to get on his horse and track back with Ates Diouf. That's not something he was going to want to be doing a ton in this game, or he's going to be out of gas by halftime. Greenville tinkered with the back three in preseason. We talked to Rick Wright in the first game, and he said they struggled so poorly with it in that first preseason game against Charleston. They went away from it, including in the first game, and they've gone back to it now. Seem to have got something working in training. Speaking of training, Darren Powell was saying how good his Lexington team's been during the week. He said if he can get his team just to replicate what they've been doing in training, the position's going to be in big trouble.
Velasquez will play this one back. Herrera dishing it to Lee. Evan Lee, a sort of do-it-all man for the Greenville Triumph. You plug him in a spot, he'll play it.
That cracking goal as well in the opener from the defensive midfield spot. Now back in the back three with the injury to Nate Schultz. The back problem he's been dealing with for a couple of seasons.
Velasquez. An awkward there, giving it away. Modesto Mendez stepping forward.
Yeah, Mendez, one of those guys that played for Powell with Fort Lauderdale CF.
Liotti takes a bump, no whistle blown. Lexington faithful not too pleased with it.
You think?
Knight just has to parry that one away. We're gonna look at that contact again on the other end of the pitch here.
Yeah, he got his hand in there. Did Corvino. Taking a look at it from this closer angle. Did go down a little easily, did Azad Liotti. There wasn't a ton of contact. Certainly one of those fouls you might be looking for, Mark, in that spot on the pitch. Corvino's got to be careful, though.
Pascal Corvino got the start in the game against Madison, has the start once again here, impressed immediately when he joined the ranks of the Greenville Triumph. The goal-scoring rows may have been one angle of the game against Ford Madison, that 0-0 draw, but we were talking before this game that Greenville, in 3 matches under Rick Wright, one of those being an Open Cup game, they have not allowed a goal in open play. Just a penalty is what keeps them from being perfect on the year defensively.
Yeah, listen, that's the Greenville tradition, right? In their 6th year, they've always been very comfortable at the back, especially with these 3 back there. And Polak, Fricky, and Lee. Obviously lost Aaron Walker, the 4th member of the leadership group from last season. He hasn't popped up anywhere yet, Aaron. Rick Wright wanted to get a little younger, a little quicker in the midfield, and they've certainly done that with the likes of this man, Sebastian Velasquez. Not a ton younger, but certainly with quick feet and creative ability.
Here's an opportunity for Greenville. Slipping pass inside. Scarlett was nearby, but not close enough.
Well, they're doing exactly what Rick Wright wanted them to do so far, Mark. Knock it around. That's what he likes to do. Knock the ball around on the floor. He was a little frustrated at that game last week. It was very cold and windy, and he wanted them to keep it on the floor, especially in the second half into the wind. He said he was annoyed at the fact they went a little too direct. And you can see the impact his words have had midweek, clearly knocking it about nicely here. 60% possession so far for the visitors.
Scarlett winds up for a shot, and that one may have split the uprights. Can't really tell from our depth here, Ross, but not quite on target, to say the least.
And Zion Scarlett impressed so far, the youngster. Played a little bit last season with the Columbus Crew 2 in MLS Next Pro, but getting plenty of minutes early here in USL League One.
Greenville on the ball once again, prodding into that attacking third. It'll be a Male Knight who will slide forward and collect that one. The veteran goalkeeper, 30 years old, from Jamaica. St. Andrew, to be precise.
Made some great saves last season, but didn't have enough clean sheets for my liking. Just a handful in 24 starts. Hence changes at the back this season for Lexington, trying to shore things up a little bit.
Yeah, Kalen Fox, the only returning member of that starting backline unit for Lexington. Kalen Fox. Play it to Mendez. Trying to hold some possession of their own along that back line, but don't want to give it away carelessly either. Greenville applying some pressure.
Eric Seja Gonzalez, Kimball Jackson, not even in the squad tonight. They were starters on the back line frequently last year for Lexington. Cesar Murray obviously no longer part of the squad. Right, if you look at this Lexington bench tonight, it's a scary proposition for Greenville. A ton of attacking talent. The likes of Yannick Janken, we mentioned, coming back from international duty with Malta, Khalid Balagoon. Nico Brown, former Greenville man, what a season he had last year after making the move to Kentucky.
Onan trying to play it forward for Cano. But that danger was read nicely. And now Greenville will push the other way. Castro with 3 bodies around him. Smith. That one rolls through. McKinnon taps it back to Corvino. Ryan McKinnon winds up for a shot, and that one will float out of play for another goal kick. The USL Championship and USL League One is on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Golazo Network and ESPN+. Go to USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings.
You're listening to the podcasts on the Lexington side of things, talking to Darren Powell this week. Obviously no panic station setting in yet at all for Lexington, but I mentioned less league games this year because of the home and away format, and the cup obviously coming in, but there are 8 playoff positions available, Mark, out of 12.
And years past, usually 6, or when the league was in its first inception, it was just 4 spots. So more and more slots being opened up, and the margin for error maybe a little bit more open now. We've had a couple of seasons, this being the 6th year of USL League One's history, where that race for those final few slots comes down to the wire.
And the key for so many of these League One teams with the smaller rosters now, with the CBA in effect for the 2nd year, is you've got to stay healthy. We've seen Greenville struggle at times over the last 2 seasons with a number of injuries. They've had other squads as well. You've got to be able to stay healthy if you only have 20 or 21. Obviously, the good news now that you can have 20 on your game day roster with the 2 academy players. The team taking advantage of it tonight. Obviously, Lexington's academy pretty serious. Got 7 pitches of their own mark at the new location where the new stadium will be opened in August, hopefully. Start for in time for the start of the Super League season. See Lexington, one of the 8 teams participating in USL Super League, the Women's Pro League, starting this summer. Exciting stuff. Greenville do have a couple of academy. They don't have an academy, but they do have a couple of academy sides on the boys and girls. They've done well in academy play. We've seen the odd academy player come up to the squad. We had one last week against Madison.
Loose touch there from Mates Diouf, so it'll be another Greenville throw. As you mentioned earlier, Darren Powell, at a quick glance at him, said that his team has not arrived yet the way they want to offensively. He mentioned they want to translate what they've been seeing in training onto the pitch on game day. Lancaster, one of those guys who could bring it, but maybe needs some of that attention drawn away from him. Herrera trying to invent a throw in for Greenville. Won't be the case.
We've seen Greenville press a little more tonight. We saw Knoxville press heavily early against Lexington in that game last week. Once they kind of slowed down a bit, Lexington got back into that game.
First true road trip of the season for Rick Wright's side. They had that Open Cup match elsewhere in South Carolina, but this is the one where you really had to get on the road, stay a night over and whatnot. But Rick Wright, having been on the coaching staff of the Greenville Triumph for the 5 years prior to this under head coach John Harkes, former U.S. men's national team player. So he's been on his fair share of trips and learned what it takes to win games on the road. I asked him what are some of the non-negotiables, and there's a look at Coach Wright there. He mentioned that you want to make these away trips as close to a home game as possible as far as routines are concerned. But one way it is different, and they're okay with, is that the guys spend more time together because you have breakfast in the same place. You can have a little morning meeting, an early pregame walk together. And those are things that you don't change. But as far as when a player eats, what they eat, how they go about their game day at home, they try to replicate that from the hotel, wherever they're staying the day of. Try to get to the site as early as possible the day they travel, so they can have as much of an acclimation period as possible.
Yeah, that's one thing having these veteran pros like they do on the back line for Greenville really helps with is you get the young guys out of college. Obviously, John Harkes was such a big fan of bringing young guys out of college straight to USL League One. He's getting used to the travel, how to act like a pro, eat like a pro, sleep like a pro.
Here's one of the young guys now, Scarlett, out to Velasquez. Taps it to Smith. Jamie Smith with the cross. Castro tried to pull something out of the bag.
Good effort by the veteran. We saw him score with his numbers already coming off. Score with a cheeky back heel in the season opener. This was almost a spectacular bicycle kick. It was a good first touch. Kalen Fox did a good enough job just getting in the way. Obviously, Castro didn't see him. Fox had to be careful. Just enough contact.
Yeah, that's dangerous territory.
Speaking of pros acting like pros, we had a good chat with Darren Powell about his time with Inter Miami as an assistant coach. And of course, the conversation leads to Leo Messi.
Of course.
We're talking about that first game when he scored that late free kick. He said he was the first man in the next morning ahead of everybody else. Could certainly have asked to come in a little later after what he did, but no, that man leads by example in Miami, and he has a lot of guys leading by example here on this Greenville squad, adding the likes of Velasquez as well and Herrera. Someone in this team hasn't done a ton in the past, bringing in championship veterans.
Knight, it's their moments before Scarlett. At this level, I feel like it's more and more the emphasis that you need that blend of the young up-and-coming talent that are trying to prove themselves with these guys who can show them the ropes and still have something in the tank.
Listen, we were talking about Madison that game last week and the amount of League One talent from elsewhere on that squad. Matt Glazer really hasn't gone the young college rookie route as much as Greenville has this year and in past years.
That shot from one of those college rookies, Pascal Corvino, coming over from Missouri State. The Bears, whom have had a couple players get picked up this season.
They have.
As rookies. 3 of them were picked up by Spokane, the new club this year in USL League One. Jack Denton, Josh Dolling, and Javier Martin Heel.
Scored the winner the other night, Mr. Heel.
Here's this ball popping in. Jamie Smith with some contact, takes a tumble. It was Diouf who was behind him.
The referee leader letting him play. Smith certainly got to the ball first. Had a half chance at putting a decent shot on target. Then was bundled over afterwards. No complaints from the Triumph players.
Cano trying to keep it in play, unsuccessful. We're gonna take a look at that contact again inside the 18. Jamie Smith going up.
Man, a half second later. Could certainly have been in trouble there. Diouf, not known for his defending prowess. If he caught Smith just a half second later, that would have been another point to the spot for Greenville. They should have had one in the US Open Cup game when Jamie Smith got bundled down inside the box and the referee incorrectly stated it was outside the box. Obviously had the one last week, gave up the one in week 1. Well, a few PKs so far for Greenville this season. Give a belated happy birthday to Isaac Cano, turned 20 earlier this week.
Fricky heads it back up the pitch where it falls to Diouf. Does well to shield it there from Herrera. Diouf switches the action. Can Lou Young keep it in play? No, he cannot. Just too far ahead of him. This is a Greenville team that Darren Powell described as a side that's always there at the end of the year in the competition. The Greenville Triumph, having been so successful in USL League One, made it to the final the first year, won the title the second year, made it to the final again the year after that. Several times semi-finalists.
Yeah, last season was a bit disappointing. Obviously the 5th year of John Harkes, and he had the health problems and injury problems on the team. He wasn't able to travel because of those health problems at times. I think it was just time, right, to move on. A lot of people were happy to see the reins handed over in-house to Rick Wright.
No need to reinvent the wheel when you've got a great system in place. Of course, Rick Wright will bring his own flair to the spot, but he can also maintain the things that were good about Greenville for the first 5 years. Of course, both Rick Wright and Darren Powell in their first year as head coaches for these respective clubs. Darren Powell, as I previously mentioned, has coached in USL League One before, for this being his first year with an independent club. Onan to Diouf. Ates Diouf tried to feed Lancaster. He successfully does it this time. An extra pass may have been one too many.
Yeah, good interpassing here from Lexington, putting the squeeze on here over the last few minutes. Lancaster maybe lost his balance slightly. Could have taken that one more touch and smashed it with his left, but decided to try the ball across.
Jaden Onan involved in second tight passing situation here in this game as Garner clutches that one. It's reminiscent to some of the combinations we saw with him in Madison last season. They love some of those quick one-touch combinations right around the 18.
Yep, last year's Young Player of the Year in USL League One, Jaden Onan.
An award that's also been won by Noah Allen when he was playing for Darren Powell. Allen now, of course, a guy who plays for Inter Miami. So we get our first booking. Abel Caputo. Another one of those guys who played for Darren Powell in Fort Lauderdale. His first yellow card of the season.
Yeah, Caputo didn't play a ton last season with the Rowdies. Let's see if we can see here how we earned the card. Not much up. Maybe Caputo was, maybe he complained about the free kick after the case. He wasn't involved in the challenge.
Velasquez, curling ball inside. Cleared away. Garner doesn't want to mess this one up, and he does well there. There's always a moment where you hold your breath when a keeper is well off his line.
He's been steady so far this year. Garner had to battle Gunther Rankenberg for the starting job after the departure of Jared Mazzola. It's almost a terrible mistake by Sebastian Velasquez.
The turf monster getting Azad Liadi there.
Greenville getting sloppy here. Garner's just going to smash this one, not particularly effectively.
Lancaster thought about winding up and launching it from the 30-yard line, the football markers. I talked to Rick Wright about the football lines, as these are the two clubs whose home fields have the football markers. He mentioned that I try not to make a big deal out of it, and he said that it probably affects them the least out of any club in the league because they're used to it. They play on it the most often, which I think Lexington can relate to. Because maybe the other clubs in the league who have to come and visit Greenville, or you could extend that to visiting Lexington, will have more problems with it. The biggest issue, of course, being the boundaries. As you see, we've got 3 different lines. Actually, you could venture to say there are 4 or 5 different lines that could, in theory, mark the boundaries, but it's the yellow markings that are the ones we're playing.
Well, come August, they won't have to worry about that, Mark. Another soccer-specific stadium, which we love to see in USL League One. It'll sit 5,000 initially. Can go up to 11,000 if they need to. We mentioned earlier, the youth program is already based in that lot. There are 7 youth fields available for use. Now we're going to have another card.
A thudding collision. And Modesto Mendez gets his 2nd yellow of the season.
The referee has issued a yellow card for Lexington Sporting Club's number 44, Modesto Mendez.
I mean,
I'm not a fan of that one.
nothing in that, really. I can understand the frustration of the Railbirds there in the stands. Some, I'll say, interesting yellow cards there, Mark. That's about as far as I'll go with that one.
Ross leaving it up for interpretation there for our audience here.
Yeah, that sums it up, Darren Powell. Yep. We had some I'll say issues last night in that Charlotte game against Spokane that some of the fans were a little upset about officiating-wise. We're off to another strange start here tonight.
Mendez will boot that one out of the fray. Cano out to Diouf. Ates Diouf. Trying to get by Herrera. He'll stick onto him though. Cano centrally to Onan. This one deflects away. Scarlett is there for it, but he loses it in a moment's notice.
Yeah, it was good work by Herrera back on Diouf. Just got enough contact on him to knock him slightly off his stride. Reduce his pace a little bit. This game's getting a little sloppy. A little contentious here the last few minutes. Both teams, I think, getting a little frustrated, especially the home team.
Appeals for handball will not be alleviated. And a crowd that's a bit rowdy is continuing to get more and more aggravated.
I mean, I didn't see the initial handball look like it came off Jamie Smith's backside. But for a referee that was letting him play early, things have certainly changed here in the last 5 minutes.
Onan sends it over to Diouf. Ates Diouf connects with Lancaster.
One thing Greenville's got to be very careful about is giving away any free kicks within 25, 30 yards. Cameron Lancaster, we saw in the US Open Cup, can smash them with the best of them.
That's a lovely feeded pass through. Diouf! He breaks through! But the offside flag goes up. Diouf denied.
Let's take a look at it here. Yeah, he's probably just the other side of Tyler Polak. Very close though. Maybe 6 inches in it. Lovely finish by Diouf, but all for nothing in the end.
Cano pops it forward once again. Azad Liati pokes it over the keeper, but it won't dip down. Couple of moments here for Lexington.
Yep, suddenly Greenville's back 3. Looking all over the place. Liati playing on that back shoulder. It was a lovely timed run. That one was a little questionable too. Assistant referee on that far side being put to work here in the last couple minutes. Rick Wright did say the way his formation is, we were talking to him during the week, debating whether to go back 3 or back 4 with Nate Schultz out. And he said the way they play, they can easily switch from one to the other without too much trouble. These last things keep going the way these last 5 minutes have. Rick Wright might have to consider going to that back 4.
Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Plus, hear live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. All on the Sirius XM FC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. Liam McKinnon gets the feed, and it's popped away by Caputo.
They're keeping tab. 6 fouls now on Lexington, only 3 on Greenville. Possession very even, right about 50.4 to 49.6% in favor of the visitors.
Now we're going to get the first corner kick of the evening in favor of the visitors.
For those of you that watched US Open Cup highlights, Lexington had big trouble defending corners, especially at the back post. See if Greenville aim there now.
McKinnon.
Well, that's not going to go.
High arcing effort.
Many teams' defenses trouble with a kick like that.
Jamie Smith awaiting a ball from one of the ball boys here.
Kids rolling down the hill. That's what hills are for, kids.
I mean, what else are they good for? Velasquez with the feed. Scarlett got some contact on it. And it'll be a goal kick for Lexington.
He was looking for the corner, claiming it may have glanced off Modesto Mendez. We'll take another look at it here on the replay. Triple teamed Velasquez. Still managed to get the cross away. Yeah, he may have headed it off the head of Mendez. It was a tough one for the referee, though.
Usually in those situations, they're going to favor the defensive team. Polak. Forward. Scarlett looking to connect with McKinnon, but instead, Jana Nonen is privy to the pass. Lancaster gets that one knocked away by Smith. Can he keep it in bounds? I always have a little bit more question about those situations on turf. The ball, not as much friction on the grass, so it doesn't really slow down that quickly. Cano to Liu Young. Trying to seek out Liati.
Yeah, Jamie Smith's done a good job so far. Right wing back, not somewhere we've seen him play. Normally a true fullback or center back. Likes to get involved in the action, though, when he can in that final third.
Mentioned briefly earlier that when Darren Powell was last coaching USL League One, he was with Fort Lauderdale, which is a side that feeds into Inter Miami. So the objective of a club like that is primarily for the development of players as opposed to winning titles. Of course, winning a game by game is sought after, but usually with the end goal of these players learning how to win games. There's a look at Rick Wright, head honcho for the Greenville Triumph.
Yeah, we've spoken to some coaches in this league about the difficulties of coaching, a quote developmental squad as we used to have back in League One, the B sides, right? Orlando City B is an example, and you'll have a plan for your week, and then suddenly the parent club will call and say, hey, we're sending down these guys, and suddenly now your plans have completely changed.
I mentioned that with
Sebastian Velasquez down on one knee in the background there. That's the reason for the stoppage. That would be a massive loss if he can't continue.
Velasquez, the player that Darren Powell highlighted as a guy he had admired and known for a long time throughout his career. Spent some time across USL Championship.
He's feeling the hamstring. Mentioned how scary Lexington's bench is offensively. Greenville's a little raw, only 6 on the bench tonight. Carlos Anguiano, more of a defensive midfielder. Ben Zakowski, more of a wide player. Hopefully for Greenville, they don't have to lose Velasquez here, because that would be a big blow. He's only the most creative man in that Greenville midfield.
We'll see what comes of Sebastian Velasquez here. Both coaches getting a chance to chat with their teams. As far as developing players is concerned, that Fort Lauderdale team and program in Inter Miami was very good at developing players. Yes. Darren Powell said 16 guys made that jump, so under his tutelage and watch. If you've been a League One guy for a while, I mentioned Noah Allen earlier. Edison Azcona, another guy who made flashes in USL League One. Drake Callender is a player who played with the League One side. Game-by-game results can be important, but only in the scope of individuals. Meanwhile, as a coach of Lexington, they want to be a top-to-bottom model player in the USL. Darren Powell said that he's familiar with the different layers, and he's been a part of the different layers of what makes a successful program top to bottom, from the academy to that transition to professional. And we've now seen that Sebastian Velasquez is done for the day. He's being subbed out, and the rookie Ben Zakowski will come in. Some big minutes for Ben.
That could be a big moment in this game, Mark. Velasquez certainly expected to be the leader of this team in the middle of the park this season. Now we'll see what changes Rick Wright makes. Zakowski mentioned the rookie, more of a winger in the time we've seen him here. Minimal time we've seen him off the bench so far in early League One action.
Obviously, we don't know the details of the injury from Sebastian Velasquez, but one thought process that we did gather from Rick Wright this week when we had the chance to chat with him is that he's not trying to take a bunch of risks right now. It's March. We got a whole season ahead of us. A lot of games in USL League One, because this was in the context of talking about Nate Schultz. He mentioned that if we pushed him, he probably could play. Service comes in, headed upward by Fox. Smith trying to usher that ball around Corrales. Can't win the corner kick. The veteran defender winning there. The words that Rick Wright used concerning Schultz was that they don't want to jeopardize his season by pushing him now. So perhaps that could be what's going on with Velasquez, although it could be a more serious situation. No idea up to this point. Obviously, you hope for the best and that it is just a precautionary decision. This is a Lexington team as a independent program. We're going to be very results driven. Darren Powell said that the regular season is massive. The League Cup that has been added this year is massive. The playoffs are massive. Said his team's been competitive so far. But he feels there's another gear to this team that they haven't quite seen yet, and that it's just waiting for it all to click. Diouf connects with Lancaster. Corrales with the cross. Liotti is there, bounces down, and Garner picks it up. Not too risky on his part.
Yeah, looks like Ben Zakowski will slot into that central midfield role. Carlos Anguiano just getting back to health. He can certainly be more a natural replacement. Velasquez is a central, can also play that attacking midfield role. So we'll see how comfortable Ben Zakowski is sitting in there. Rick Wright was very high on Zakowski coming into this season. So it was one of the guys to certainly watch.
Described him as a fireball.
Yeah, fireball, pitbull in the midfield. Has been used, as you mentioned, been utilized more as a white guy so far off the bench. We'll have to see if Rick decides to make any tactical changes at the break.
Scarlett showing some physicality here. McKinnon, his cross didn't get very far. So I'm hearing 5 minutes of stoppage time are coming our way, and that is now confirmed by our fourth official.
The fourth official has indicated that there will be a minimum of 5 minutes of added time. The stadium clock will be stopped.
So 45 minutes through in this League One debut on the CBS Sports Galazzo Network.
Only the one shot on target so far for Lexington, but certainly had those half chances. One that was offside, one that was just lobbed over. And a chance perhaps here for a set piece opportunity.
Another UK healthcare corner kick incoming. You mentioned earlier some of the big targets that this Lexington team poses. Cameron Lancaster, who is a goal-scoring extraordinaire. Azad Liotti standing at 6'1". Test Diouf, pretty tall in stature. Kalen Fox, a big body. Let's see if they can break the deadlock before going into the halftime. It'll be Jorge Corrales to provide the corner kick from the right corner flag. Searching ball comes in. Lancaster got contact on it. He was open, but it went straight to Garner.
Lovely delivery by Corrales. Looked initially like it'd be okay. Just Cameron Lancaster was just drifting away towards the end line, and that, I think, stopped him from putting enough power on that header to potentially find the back of the net. Garner in the right place at the right time to claim.
So a biting moment for Lexington. Greenville back with possession. 2 minutes into the 5 allocated. Corvino will dip it out to Tyler Polak. Some would venture to say Tyler Polak being Mr. Greenville, a guy who was the first ever signing for the club.
Yeah, nobody was sure this season whether the veterans will be back, especially with the departure of John Harkes, and all the Triumph fans were super happy to see Polak, Fricke, and Lee return.
Greenville Triumph quarter, number 9, Liam McKinnon.
Corner kick for the Triumph now.
See if this delivery's a little better than the last one from Mr. McKinnon.
Jamie Smith goes down. No foul called. Lancaster plays it forward. Here come Lexington. Diouf to Cano. Isaac Cano one-on-one with the keeper! And Lexington are on the board. The 20-year-old Isaac Cano strikes.
We know how dangerous this team can be on the transition. That was a textbook transition goal off the corner by the home team.
Test Diouf, so dangerous in the open space. Plays it perfectly for Cano.
Trying to get a good bit of it, but couldn't deflect it past the post. You see the frustration from the Triumph players.
The loanee from Lou City, the Lexington native, Isaac Cano, scored in the Open Cup and now has his first league goal. That one just means a little bit more for the Lexington fans here when it's truly one of their own who is scoring.
That was a lovely pass from Cameron Lancaster. That sprang that transition opportunity. Not just there for his goal scoring.
So a goal late in stoppage time at the end of the first half means that Lexington will be going into the dressing room with a 1-0 lead, just their second goal of the season.
Yeah, it will certainly change Rick Wright's team talk and perhaps his tactical decisions at the half with the loss of Sebastian Velasquez a few minutes ago. Not trying to hold on now for the point. Now got to try and score with your most creative midfielder out of the game.
Diouf with a stabbing effort there. You can always get a little more pep in your step after your team finds the score sheet. We'll see how much extra time Alvin Oliva allows this game to continue.
Cameron Lancaster with a veteran move there, taking a few more seconds off the clock.
McKinnon along the perimeter. Inside for Zakowski. That's a good touch. Ben Zakowski, more weaving moves, floats it up. Castro!
Off the post.
Another wind-up effort, floats over. And that is where we'll wrap things up after the first 45 minutes and change here at Toyota Stadium. Greenville nearly breaking through in the dying moments, but it's Lexington who score in added time to make it 1-0 between these two sides in this debut game on the CBS Sports Golazo Network for USL League One. With that, we're prepared to step aside for the halftime break. Coming up next, Charles and Ian in the studio will take care of you. But after 50 or so minutes, your scoreline is Lexington 1, Greenville 0. We'll see you for the start for the second half.
Lexington is the Kentuckiest place in the world. Just look at it. It's by far the bluegrassiest, the bourbonist. See? The artsiest, and hands down, the horsiest. Oh, look, that one has a baby. I don't know why you would look anywhere else. Looking for the coolest, most Kentuckiest getaway? Look at Lexington.
Girls like you aren't runners, they said. Well, I wasn't.
Let's go ahead and get some pictures of that knee, okay?
6 months, down the drain. Give up
Keep the rhythm going.
or get up?
Perfect.
Who's not a runner now?
You don't have to be an elite athlete to be treated like one. UK Healthcare, Orthopedic Surgery, and Sports Medicine. The power of advanced medicine.
This is where worry turns into relief, where confusion turns into answers. This is where your family can turn to the experts for the big things and the little things. Extraordinary care is right here. UK Healthcare, the power of advanced medicine.
Lexington is the Kentuckiest place in the world. Just look at it. It's by far the bluegrassiest, the bourbonist. See? The artsiest, and hands down, the horsiest. Oh, look, that one has a baby. I don't know why you would look anywhere else. Looking for the coolest, most Kentuckiest getaway? Look at Lexington.
Fans, support your home club by repping the latest Lexington SC gear. Visit the team shop on the main concourse or the merchandise trailer near the southeast entrance. Stop by and pick up the brand new home and away kits. Get those while supplies last. And as always, you can find all the gear at shop.lexsporting.com. When it's your health or your family's, you want extraordinary care. Find it right here at UK Healthcare, official healthcare provider of the Lexington Sporting Club and the #1 hospital in Kentucky, 8 years running. UK Healthcare, the power of advanced medicine. Enjoy the flexibility of choosing the matches that fit your schedule. Flex benefit plans include significant savings over match single prices. Your choice of 3 matches, assigned seat locations for each match. Establish priority for the new Lexington SC Stadium, which will open later this year. Badass Coffee is the official coffee supplier of Lexington Sporting Club. They have coffee, iced coffee, and smoothies available at the concession stand this evening. Visit one of 2 Lexington locations and say aloha and get the best coffee in town. Fans, join us on Sunday, April 14th, as we take on Spokane Velocity FC right here at Toyota Stadium. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. Hit the lexsporting.com/tickets to secure your seat. Fans, direct your attention to center field. Congratulations to our fan of the match, J.K. Gonzalez. We thank you for your continued support of the Lexington Sporting Club, J.K.
welcome back to Toyota Stadium. 1-0 your scoreline after the first 45 minutes of action here on the CBS Sports Golazo Network. Let's take a peek at the highlights here from the first 45. I'm Mark Jones to Ross Davenport here alongside me. Starting off 5 minutes into the game, Ates Diu, who would end up being crucial later in the game in Lexington's goal, was a part of a lot of the facilitation today.
Yeah, lovely bit of interplay there. Fell at the feet of Jaden Onan, but a good save by Christian Garner in the end.
Service from Jamie Smith, and then the bicycle attempt from Leo Castro wouldn't fall through. Then we had this corner kick in time. Thought maybe that was going to be the big chance of the stoppage portion of the match. Cameron Lancaster getting his head on it, but drifting away from goal, as you mentioned at the time, perhaps was why it lacked some of the punch. But they'd get one more go, and they would make the most of it, Lexington. Diouf sucking in the defenders, giving it out to Cano. The 20-year-old Lexington, Kentucky native puts it away and puts his team up top after 45 minutes.
Yeah, Ben Zakowski tracked back, but just got caught inside. Speaking of Ben Zakowski, a lovely move here. And a little chip cross to the far post. Castro was there, got a foot on it, and off the post.
Off the post, and I believe it went off the chest of Kalen Fox. As we return to the pitch, side swapped. Leo Castro, who was so close to scoring there in the dying moments. Well, look to see if he can find the back of the net in the second 45 minutes. Oliva's whistle sounds, and we are back in the fray of things.
Greenville still seeking their first shot on target. They need to get one of those first. Obviously, the loss of Velasquez towards the end of that first half with what looked like a hamstring injury is an unfortunate one. See if Ben Zakowski, the rookie, can fill that role in attacking midfield.
Definitely a critical turn in the affair. Once again, welcome you in on the CBS Sports Golazo Network, the debut of USL League One action on this network. Another thank you to Charlie and Ian in the studio for our halftime content. Polak. Gets that one tugged away from him by Liotti. Here's the goal scorer, Cano. Knifing it forward. Diouf working on Lee. Zakowski tracking back and doing well to win the ball for Greenville.
Yeah, no pressure, Ben Zakowski. Coming off the bench for the hometown hero, Sebastian Velasquez. First game on Golazo Network.
Once again, if this is your first time tuning into USL League One game, this is Division III soccer on the professional pyramid. Can be a bit unpredictable, as Rick Wright, the coach who's been a part of now the 5 years prior and this 6th season. Lyon McKinnon. That one deflecting inside and cleared away.
Some half-hearted appeals for Hamble.
I asked Rick Wright if he had to sell the league to a new viewer, what would he say? And he mentioned that they'll be watching a game for preparation, studying for a team, and they'll catch themselves being genuinely entertained by what's going on. So even though it's supposed to be work, they'll be watching and just getting sucked into what transpires during a 90-minute match. Polak. Up forward, Castro. Over to Polak.
You and I have had some of the more chaotic matches in USL League One history.
Tell me about it.
So Lyon McKinnon scored 4 goals in a game for Greenville. That was a league record.
Greenville still in the highest scoring game in League One history, a 5-5 game.
That was yours, yes.
Against Tormenta. And you had a game that Darren Powell coached in, a 4-4 game against Tormenta.
Yes, that Fort Lauderdale club was certainly known for the chaos that they brought to League One. Certainly gifted offensively, not so much on the back line.
Corrales, can he keep it in play? He can, but not in a constructive way.
That ball may have gone out of play, Mark. Christian Garner saying, why?
Another aspect of this league that Rick Wright touched base on, as he mentioned, it's getting harder and harder for college kids to make it at this level because so many USL Championship talents who could probably still play at that level are coming down and playing for some of these teams. Cameron Lancaster, Sebastian Velasquez, two great examples, which is bumping up the quality of the league a couple more notches.
Yeah, guys want to play, guys want to get minutes. Interesting to see these first 15 minutes here. Greenville certainly don't want to give up that second goal anytime soon. They also don't want to push too much forward, looking for their first goal. That would leave them exposed like it did on that corner. Just going to keep playing their game for now. If they have to make some tactical changes at some point here, I'm sure Rick Wright will go to the bench.
Lexington surely will continue to put their foot on the gas as well, scoring their second goal in this, their fourth game of league action. We talked at length about how impressive of a roster they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So just one goal isn't something they'll be satisfied with.
Jamie Smith stopped his run there. Castro saw him a little too late in the channel.
Onan plays it to his left. Ates Diouf is there. Diouf dragging that to Liati, but Brandon Fricke is the one who ends up with it. Herrera will hold things up for Greenville. Early part of the year, both teams still trying to get that chemistry down. Chemistry, a thing that's often attributed to building on road trips, this being the first one for the Greenville Triumph. Rick Wright said the night before they tried to do something entertaining to build that chemistry and just get to know each other more. He said that they like to play Trivial Pursuit. He says the coaches always win, even though they center it around sports trivia. Ates Diouf, who is on the turf at the moment. The one with the assist on the goal for Lexington. His first goal contribution of the year. Diouf in his second year with Lexington Sporting Club, coming over from San Antonio FC. He made a couple appearances in 2022. Darren Powell looking for his 10th win as a League One head coach. There he is right there. And there's Rick Wright.
We're having a great day today,
who at this point is undefeated. 2 wins if you count the Open Cup win and a draw.
About the support he's got from his assistant coaches, Mark Ward and Julie Carlson, as he coach of the Greenville Liberty. Women's side in the W League is Liati certainly feeling his hamstring as well now. I wonder if that's going to be the end of the night for him. As we mentioned though, Lexington stacked on the bench in regards to offensive talent.
Darren Powell getting a word with Ates right now. Sure, it's a gauge of how he's feeling.
Well, one thing Lexington doesn't have to worry about is a midweek cup game coming up. Greenville does. They'll face Knoxville in the next round. That's going to be the end of the night for Ates Diouf.
So you mentioned the wealth of talent on this bench, and you also mentioned before kickoff that Tate Robertson is not a guy who comes off the bench that often, excuse me. And here he comes. That is the opposite of a sight for sore eyes if you're Greenville. Meanwhile, for Lexington fans, a promise of more offensive danger.
Entering the lineup for Lexington SC, number 2, Tate Robertson.
Certainly more of a right-sided player. We'll see.
32, Ates Diouf.
if Darren Powell makes a swap here. Perhaps moves Liati to the left and Robertson to the right. We'll keep an eye on that over the next couple of minutes here. Perhaps moves Liati a little central. Cano can play wide as well. It looks like Cano will go out wide. Liati will move into the middle. Robertson to the right side of midfield. As down goes Chapa Herrera.
Herrera ailing his wrist. Jorge Corrales helping out with the training staff as they make their way over to know what the issue is. Corrales, 32 years old, a veteran.
Herrera on the right side of your screen there. Oh, he just fell awkwardly on that right wrist. He's in some pain.
Oh, like he fell awkwardly on it.
This one might be a magic water injury.
Greenville all hoping the best for their holding midfielder. Herrera, always an awesome story. A guy who was working in construction in 2019, was living in El Paso, Texas. Then I believe he was spotted at a tournament.
He was. And
then went to go try out for El Paso Locomotive, made the team, and then he played a lot of football for El Paso.
Yeah, Coach Mark Lowry said he ran 5,000 miles at the tournament and didn't give the ball away once all weekend. And that earned himself a pro contact. Looks like he's going to try and play this one off. Obviously, you don't need your wrist unless you're in goal, but if it's getting to be too painful, he's not got it taped up yet, Chapa Herrera. See if he's able to continue. Have to go off for now. Come back on when the referee allows him. Looks like they may try and take this one up. If they lose Herrera, I mean, Mark, that's a double blow that I'm not sure Greenville will be able to come back from. Anguiano mentioned on the bench, certainly a capable midfield replacement, but Herrera played so well in that tie with Madison last weekend. Defensive midfield spot.
You said it in the open that the Velasquez signing was the one that turned heads, but Herrera, another quality pickup, and now they could be without both of them as they trail 1-0. A little over 30 minutes to go in this game. Onan. Lexington working to get their feet back under them after that long pause in play. Robertson will leave it for Christian Liu Young. Won the league last season with North Carolina FC.
He's a nice little player. Likes to throw his weight around, that's for sure.
Liati, another nice player, still with the ball. Liati back across! And Lexington double their advantage. It's Cameron Lancaster. His first of potentially many in USL League One. Scored so often at the championship level, makes the move to Lexington. And leading this crew as the captain on the offensive side. He gives his team a comfortable lead now.
It was too easy for Liati. Split Corvino, Polak, Chapa Herrera. Watched him go by, and that's a lovely finish by Lancaster. Not a difficult one for him, obviously, with his quality. And Greenville Triumph defenders looking at each other saying, who was supposed to cover that man? We might want to cover it.
We talked ad nauseum in the first half about the quality of the offensive pieces this Lexington team have, and now we've seen some quality from Diouf, from Cano, from Lancaster, from Liati, just demonstrating what this team is capable of this season.
It was good work by Liati, but disappointing defending by Greenville to allow him to get to that position he ended up in for that cross. There's plenty of Greenville defenders around Cameron Lancaster, but nobody close enough. And there is that second goal, so key. Especially in a match where your creative midfield talisman is off the field due to injury. Greenville with a stiff hill to climb here. Steeper than those hills behind the goals mark.
And it's even easier to roll backwards on and leave yourself vulnerable for even more counter-attacking opportunities for a Lexington side that's so capable of punishing you on those moments. Hey fans, welcome to the 2024 USL kickoff presented by Terminix. Throughout the month of March, the USL will be kicking off across the country. Join us for all the action on ESPN and CBS Sports platforms. Of course, March wrapping up here as we get close to the end of the first month of league play. A lot more months to go. Evan Lee. Tried to get it fed back to him by Castro. Herrera with some fresh tape on the wrist. Castro serves it inside, headed away by Mendez.
Zukowski and Zion Scarlett find themselves with a bit of space there. Zukowski, the rookie out of Monmouth. Played for John Harkes' high school teammate Robert McCourt there. 32 goals, including 12 as a senior.
Castro gets someone deflected away. Zukowski shoots! Off his back foot, lets it fly. But it's straight into the hands of Knight.
We asked John Harkes if he played a role in that recruitment of Zukowski, and he said yes. Put a good word in. Certainly with other teams were looking at him out of college. It's been a bright spark since coming on here for Velasquez.
Mendez boots that one straight up. Not quite out of the danger zone. Well, that was nice from McKinnon. Castro back across. Mendez deflects it out. A corner kick for Greenville. A couple of promising moments here, trying to find a response after conceding a second goal.
Said to keep an eye on former League One teams. North Carolina with a 2-0 lead over Hartford. Louis Perez and Oleg Sanderson, two guys that starred in USL League One before North Carolina made the move back to the championship after winning the title last season.
Ball floated back across and sitting on the roof. And a whistle here.
Perhaps it was a corner.
Looks like it took a deflection off of the home side, so Lyon McKinnon will cross the width of the field and serve it from the other side. Mendez gets contact on it again. Corvino made some contact. McKinnon back in the channel. Ball still upward. Corvino tried to one-time it, and that one well off target.
Greenville still seeking their first shot on target. This was always going to be a difficult one to put on frame from Corvino. His balance was all off of kilter there. Past the hour mark now. Greenville are going to have to start pushing some bodies forward soon.
Castro lays it to Corvino. Corvino once again floats it forward for McKinnon. Gives it his all to keep it in play. And begs a clearance from the center back. Lancaster, one of those two goal scorers. Opposite ends of the soccer career spectrum, who have scored goals today for Lexington. A youngster and a veteran, as Robertson who's creative himself, plays it to Liu Young, returns it back, and the flag goes up.
Oh, that's just a silly offside by Christian Liu Young. I think Robertson perhaps could have passed it a split second earlier ahead to Young and then gone in the box himself. I think he just got caught in two minds perhaps. Did the substitute. There's another look at it here. Now we should have given it, and he just waited. Oh, that was a close one. We've had some debatable decisions here. This is where the football lines come into play. Brandon Fricky, yeah, maybe half a foot. Wasn't much, that's for sure. Again, no need to be on that side of the defender in that spot there, especially with the numbers going your way.
I think the assistant getting a pretty good view and angle of that one. Castro, the clunky collision, is able to knock it away from the ground. McKinnon.
It was a good no call though, a good 50-50 challenge.
It's McKinnon again. Castro serving it inside. Greenville definitely pushing further forward, committing more bodies, trying to find an avenue back into contention in this affair with Lexington. Lee with some space. They'll play it out wide for Smith. Smith's ball comes inside! And Ben Sikowski flicks one into the back of the net.
His first professional goal. Lovely ball in by Jamie Smith. Had the pace and the power. All Sikowski had to do was get the slightest of touches to redirect it past that man, Amal Knight. Ben Sikowski off the bench to cut the deficit in half here. Good work by Castro. Recycle the ball out wide here. Lee saw Smith in space. This was a quality first-time cross for it. That's a lovely finish. I'm not sure if Sikowski got a touch on it. He's certainly going to claim it. Take another look at it here, perhaps. Yeah, I think he did with a spin on the ball there. Claims for offside, but never a shout. Ben Sikowski giving Greenville a lifeline.
From Glen Rock, New Jersey, 23 years old, Ben Sikowski. Already mentioned once, Rick Wright calls him a fireball. Contact or not, that's either an excellent touch from Sikowski or also pretty effective dummy. You don't see a lot of dummies for goals, but either way, it gets the job done, and it's a one-score game once again.
Rick Wright said he wanted defense and offense from everywhere this season, and the Ben Smith to Ben Sikowski connection wasn't one I don't think many people expected to produce a goal this season. It was a well executed one.
eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now. You're watching the USL League One debut on the CBS Sports Golazo Network. Mark Schoenster, Ross Davenport with you here. Things have gotten spicy in this one. Castro plays it to Corvino. Now McKinnon. Corvino once again after the deflection. Jamie Smith just provided the service on the last goal. It's a nice touch from Corvino.
Greenville smelling blood in the water here. Trying to catch Lexington reeling for a second.
McKinnon couldn't get that one by effectively against Christian Liu Young. No one there on the end of that cross. Let's sustain possession, the attacking third for Greenville. Smith back inside. Sikowski couldn't corral that one in. Amal Knight falls on the loose touch.
Another good ball in with pace from Adam Smith. It almost had too much pace on it. Sikowski just couldn't control it with his knee. You see head in the hands. He had the space to certainly, if he had cushioned it, to get a shot on target.
A bevy of substitutions are loading up for Lexington. And all of them with some offensive firepower. Darren Powell not taking this attack lightly from Greenville. Smith. That one didn't get very far, but it falls to his lap. Jamie Smith cuts inside. Now Corvino with a shot. And that one will scamper into the arms of Emil Knight. Not often. Go ahead.
I'll say third shot on target after having none for the first 60+ minutes. Third shot on target in the last few minutes here for Greenville. Seem to have found something. Asking for 6 seconds. I don't know the last time a goalkeeper was called for 6 seconds.
I was going to say, Ross, it's not often do you get to see Jamie Smith cut inside the 18 looking to wind up a shot. Kind of falls into the conversation about the versatility of some of these players that this Greenville team has. Rick Wright said that he doesn't like to box in any of his players positionally. Smith with a lofted cross in, searching for Castro, and it'll be a Greenville throw.
Listen, when you have a roster of 20 to 21, it's critical to have those guys that can play multiple positions to cover for injuries. And here come the reinforcements for the home team.
It'll be Nico Brown for Isaac Cano.
Number 77, Nico Brown.
It'll be Yannick Yankum for Jaden Onen.
Also entering the match for Lexington Sporting Club, number 98.
And then David Loera coming in for Azad Liadi.
And entering the match for Lexington Sporting Club, number
Meanwhile,
8,
for
Yannick
Greenville,
Yankum.
Hayden Anderson will step in for Zion Scarlett.
Entering the match from Greenville Triumph SC, Hayden Anderson. Number
Anderson
20.
more of a
He replaces
defensive
number 17,
player.
Zion Scarlett.
That's an interesting substitution for an attacker. Zion Scarlett didn't have a whole lot of action tonight around the ball. A couple of skied shots.
He'll throw it in, Hayden Anderson. Loera with a great touch there. Now he'll make the run along the sideline. But it's Anderson, another substitution, who reclaims possession for Greenville. Tried to set McKinnon running. And at least earns himself a throw in for his side.
Played back line for the University of Memphis, had 12 assists there from the back line. Certainly a defender with some offensive prowess, Hayden Anderson, and he'll be needed here. Greenville are going to continue this pressure and find that equalizer.
Smith out in the channel once again. Evan Lee with the service. Corvino once again trying that one-timer. Trying to get that calibrated, Ross. He's had a couple opportunities being in that second line of attack as the ball pops back out. I'm sure it's something he's hit once or twice in training and is just looking to get it down and pat in the run of play.
Yeah, Mal Knight here wisely slowing things down a little bit, take the sting out of this Greenville attack, which has been so potent here over the last 10 minutes. Lexington just trying to weather the storm.
See our upcoming slate in USL League One action. Got some USL League One After Dark, as we like to call it, after this game at 10 p.m. Eastern.
It's the potential to be a fun one.
Christian Chaney going back to his hometown to play Central Valley Fuego. I tell you what, Ross, we were talking about crazy games earlier. Madison and Central Valley Fuego had a wild one last year. A game in which Madison was down 2 goals and down a man. It still found a way to come back and draw that game. Nico Brown against his former club, shoots, and it's punched away. Christian Garner with the save. Really the first moment of life offensively for Lexington since they scored.
Yeah, Nico Brown didn't have a great offensive year with Greenville, but put 8 goals away last year for Lexington. Showing what he can do there. certainly found his scoring boots here in Kentucky. You see Hayden Anderson certainly pushing further forward on that left side. McKinnon now sliding into the middle, where Zion Scarlett was, playing the 10 roll off Castro.
Nico Brown drawing the foul, earning a free kick for Lexington. You can find something promising off of this set piece, Ross. You can turn the tides back in your favor a little bit. Sometimes it just takes a good proper chance. Of course, Nico Brown with the shot on goal moments earlier.
Yeah, Carlett with the grab there on the left arm. Nico with the dive to the ground, as these guys tend to do these days when they feel that pull or that tug. Make sure they get the call. Yeah, the substitutions were timed nicely by Darren Powell. They certainly slowed things down as well. Get fresh legs on.
Lancaster will tap it to his left for Robertson.
And Herrera down again. This time with a leg issue. He's up, nope.
Brown working on Lee. Nico Brown still with it. Sliding shot gets blocked. Herrera dishing it out to Anderson. Hayden Anderson can't get by his man. Anderson quickly throws this one in. Zakowski was awaiting it, but Kalen Fox, tall in stature, reaches it first. It's a precarious pass there.
Yeah, this game's opening up a little bit. You can see some of the spaces out there getting larger and larger with the tired legs on both sides.
Here's Evan Lee once again. Has played in the holding midfield spot. Played as a center back for a long time under John Harkes. Was plugged in at left back at 1 or 2 times last season. As you mentioned, scored a great goal the first week of the season, and here he is. Lee trying to feed it to Castro.
As Rick Wright mentioned, Evan Lee likes to remind him that he did play 10 in college. He showed it there with some superb technical skill.
Ref says play on. Alvin Oliva, our head official. He also made a joke this week when Rick Wright asked him to play center back. He said, "You do realize you're putting the leading goal scorer in a center back spot?" Of course, a tongue-in-cheek joke early in the year. Castro with a light step. Still carrying it. Uses the ref as a pick almost. Lets one fly, and that one
Get the corner.
gets the glance he was looking for, at least. And Greenville scoring in the 65th minute to make it 2-1. Now searching for that equalizer here.
It's not quite Jamie Smith time yet, Mark. It's getting there, though.
McKinnon puts this one inside. Headed back into the fray of things. Fricky got second contact, but it was nothing serious.
A deep corner kick from McKinnon. Nodded back across by Castro nicely. Fricky was there only about 7 yards out, but coming away from goal. Corrales was in good position. It's always going to be a difficult one for the Greenville captain.
In case you need a recap or you're just tuning in, Isaac Cano, the Lexington kid, opened the scoring for Lexington Sporting Club. Before the half concluded, Zakowski trying to let it rip. Then the open of the second half, Cameron Lancaster, a man with many goals on his resume, gets his first in USL League One action. Then Greenville turned the tide and flipped the switch offensively, got a little bit more aggressive. And Jamie Smith rifling in a cross that Ben Zakowski deflected and put on goal to give Greenville their first in this matchup.
Zakowski certainly impressing here off the bench in the central role. He's been the most dangerous player in the second half for Greenville.
Anderson with a long throw. Headed upward. Still in the fray. Knight punches it away. Castro, open goal! Blocked off the line! Modesto Mendez celebrates, and rightfully so. His goalie nowhere to be found.
Yeah, Marl Knight went running out for this one. Got the ball, but fell on the ground, and almost like Castro had too much time. Modesto Mendez in the right place to block that shot. Castro, they're wanting that one back. All he had to do was pass it into the far corner. Instead, tried to put the power behind it and lost the accuracy and hit it right at Mendez. So now Corrales down.
So we have a booking situation here. We're waiting to get confirmation on what transpired.
I don't think Marl Knight had anything to complain about in the build-up to that chance. He came out flapping. Here's a look at what happened here.
So a yellow card, and then a red card was issued. We believe it's a male Knight, and it is a male Knight. He's been sent off.
Well, he didn't have a yellow card that we know of until that point. The stats don't say he did. My notes don't say he did. It was certainly a very quick yellow, followed by the red, like it was almost his second yellow, unless Marl Knight just wouldn't keep his mouth shut, and that appears to be the decision. Descent twice within the space of seconds. So now Darren Powell will have to get his reserve goalkeeper off the bench. Nico Campuzano. Luckily for Darren Powell, he's still got substitutions left.
What a turn of events in this footballing match. At the 57th minute, it was 2-0 in favor of Lexington. Greenville didn't seem they were dangerous at all offensively, and now they've been on the prowl and have the man advantage. Corrales will sub out to make room for the substitute goalkeeper, Nico Campuzano. Campuzano, a Spaniard, coming over from New England Revolution 2. So for the rest of this one, Lexington are going to emergency lockdown mode. "26 years old, the goalkeeper. Campuzano, standing at 6'2", played his college ball at Portland and the University of Pittsburgh.
It's like the Lexington staff seeking an explanation as they're saying, what was the reason for the 2 yellows? And I don't think there was any reason for Marl Knight to be complaining. He came through the back of Corrales himself. Got a hand on the ball that ended up falling at the feet of Leo Castro, who then shot it right at Mendez on the line.
So Darren Powell will now issue instructions into his captain's ear, Cameron Lancaster.
If you're here for League One chaos, you've got it in a slightly strange way.
Absolutely terrible.
We promised some mayhem in this game, and mayhem has occurred, as it often does in USL League One action.
David Loera, who just came on, now has to get substituted off. What are you going to feel for David Loera?
It looked like Corrales was going to be the one to step out, but Loera is the one who's officially subbed out of the game for Campuzano.
David Loera. Lexington Sporting Club will be playing with 10 men the remainder of the match.
So let's see what happens from here on out.
They should be able to go back in.
So now we wait for the go-ahead from Alvin Oliva, our head official. Anderson chucks this one in. Robertson boots it up the pitch. And that'll be the first success at killing some time off this clock, because that's what Lexington's got to do now.
Yeah, we might be seeing a bit more of that for these next, certainly going to be at least 10 minutes, you'd have to think. At least 5 minutes added on to the end of this one. After all that chaos with the red card, the mystery red card, we'll say, to Mel Knight.
Smith with the service inside, headed down, winding shot towards goal, and Greenville score.
Thank you, Ron.
Tie ball game here at Toyota Stadium.
That's what Liam McKinnon does. Pops up in the right spot and he can hammer them. Remember that 4-goal game last season, some quality finishes. And Greenville, as you can see, Julie Carlson encouraging them to continue to push forward here. Chance of getting the 3 points. Jamie Smith again. This ball fell to McKinnon. That's a lovely left-footed strike. Campuzano looked like he might have seen it late, through some bodies. Didn't get down quick enough. Obviously tough to come off the bench as a backup goalie and be called into action that quickly. And how the tides have turned here, Mark.
It may have glanced off of Zukowski in the process. Well, we'll wait to see what the stats confirm on that side of things. It was McKinnon's shot as Christian Liu Young's free now. Liu Young plays it across.
It took a while for the chaos to get going, but we're getting it now, Mark.
Here we are. Welcome to USL League One. And we've got a UK Healthcare corner kick. Set piece is the great equalizer in soccer. Looks to be a chance for Lexington to put themselves back up top once again. A position that they found themselves in for most of this half. Robertson, service inside. Lancaster and Nico Brown were both close, and now Garner's on the turf.
Initial look, it looked like Garner just came flapping. There was some contact from Nico Brown. We'll see it here on the replay in a second. It will be a free kick for Greenville. As Garner comes to claim. Yeah, a ton of contact there in the end from Brown.
Lancaster just got a graze of the ball, didn't quite make the contact to put it back on goal. Would have been hard for Garner to handle since he had already left his feet.
Hayden Anderson, I will say he's been impressive with those long throws, Mark. The substitutions have worked for Rick Wright. I hadn't seen much of these guys, the young guys coming off the bench in the first few games, and obviously tonight Rick Wright's had to go to them due to the injury to Sebastian Velasquez. What do you do now if you're Rick Wright? Do you push forward and look for the win? You are up a man, and 1 of 3 points it would be on the road if they can pull this one off, or do you settle for the point? Maybe see how the flow of the game goes here in the next couple minutes.
Evan Lee threads it forward. Herrera to McKinnon. And he can't put it on target, that one. Well off the mark. Select the official match ball supplier of the USL League One and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. So we've received confirmation. Liam McKinnon being given the goal. I think rightfully so. His first in this campaign.
Yeah, I think Greenville will be careful here. Pick and choose their spots. As you can see, Lancaster still pushing up high.
Corvino lobs it over to Smith. Jamie Smith earns a deflection and another corner kick for Greenville. Yeah, you mentioned all the time that was lost during that red card fiasco, but we also have to remember that Chapa Herrera went down for a considerable amount of time earlier, so we might be in for a wealthy amount of stoppage time here.
I was going to say high single digits would be my guess. Whatever it is, it's going to be too much for the Lexington fans.
McKinnon. Ball popped in, and it deflects out for a corner.
Greenville Triumph FC corner, number 9, Liam McKinnon.
See how quiet the stadium's got, Mark. Taking the sting out of this hometown fan group.
Nico Campuzano talking to the head official, the backup goalkeeper.
I was going to say the bleacher refs are letting their feelings known, as they're allowed to do.
Castro gets contact. Zakowski trying to turn. No one able to make proper contact for Greenville. It's cleared away by Lexington. Polak puts it back in the mixer. Headed down. Anderson was looking for it. Anderson throws it in. Ball headed straight up. Anderson. And we've got a lot of time to go. Holy moly, Ross.
It's another free, almost sixth of the game, Mark.
And time will be monitored on the field.
Welcome to League One. I don't know how many times I can say it. And that one cleared away.
Jamie Smith was waiting to be the villain again here in Lexington, right at the back post here. It was a huge header in the end, a huge clearing header. What a brave header it was. I think it might have been Corrales there.
McKinnon with the service.
And again, Lexington are all over the place at the moment. Greenville looking to make them pay for it.
Herrera plays it forward. Zakowski has the ball now. And he has the ball taken away. Lexington looking to spring forward and kill some time in the process. Yankum gets tripped up, drawing a foul. And that'll be a card for Chapa Herrera. His second yellow of the season.
That's definitely the best yellow of the night though, Mark. Yannick Yankin was on his horse down that left side. Looked like Tyler Pollock was going to come and help for a second. Herrera had the first grab at it, and then the hack at the ankles. That was a smart professional foul by the veteran. Mentioned Yannick Yankin with 2 games for Malta this past international break over the last week or so. So a long trip back for him.
He might be biting off more than he can chew as far as the amount of minutes he's playing in this one. I don't think anyone was anticipating. This is how much extra time would be added. We're going to be getting into triple digits.
Robertson always a great deliverer of free kicks. This is no exception.
That one headed over top by Castro.
Kalen Fox was waiting to pounce.
Corner kick for Lexington.
Leo Castro coming back to help out, as he does on the set pieces. Such a great header of the ball, both in his own box and the other team's box. He certainly doesn't want these last 14 minutes either, Leo Castro. He's early to mid-30s now.
Another UK Healthcare corner kick, and you brought it up once, Ross. A midweek road trip to Knoxville is coming up for Greenville in the Open Cup, and then they play against Northern Colorado on Saturday. Robertson teasing the service, punched away by Garner.
Yep, solid punch by Garner in traffic. And we saw Jared Mazzola last season for Greenville. He was very good with the punch or slap away. It's always a little risky catching the ball in traffic as we the Greenville sub.
So Chapa Herrera injured his wrist, collected a yellow card, and will now go to the sideline. And Carlos Anguiano will step in.
Keeping lineup for Greenville, let's see, Kyle.
Yeah, Herrera with the yellow.
Number
Way he
6.
plays on the edge. You don't want to risk him getting sent off and matching things up at 10, so a smart substitution there. Anguiano coming back from the early season injury, preseason injury.
Yanko. That one kept rising there and dip for Nico Brown.
Anguiano, a USL Championship winner last season with Phoenix Rising. Didn't play a whole ton. Did play against Greenville in that 1-0 win. I always say, Mark, you never know who's watching. He impressed in that game. Rick Wright remembered it. Went and signed him.
Was impressed with his ability to really apply instructions with the way he came in and immediately took what was being spoken into his ear in that Madison game. They wanted some more crosses, some of those sliced passes through the middle, and he immediately came into the game and did just that. Here's Anguiano.
Referee playing advantage there for that clumsy challenge from Lancaster on Polak. Just a little awkward, nothing nasty involved in it. It's going to be another 9 minutes here for Lexington to try and hang on.
McKinnon takes another shot. It spills out. Service comes in once again. And that one too high over top. That was good work from Christine Liu Young after the ball knocked out of the hands of Campuzano.
Can't give Liam McKinnon space. It was a good save by Campuzano and well defended, as you mentioned, Mark, by Liu Young on the right side of the attacker, Zakowski.
Once again, a male knight given a yellow card and a red card in succession for dissent, which means Nico Campuzano is in the game now for Lexington, and the home side are down a man after having a 2-0 lead in this game in the second half. Mendez will play this back to Campuzano, and that's a bit dangerous.
It wasn't the goalkeeper's friend of a ball. Bounced at him awkwardly, did well in the end, did the Spaniard.
Anguiano slicing it over. Anderson heads it to McKinnon, and a whistle blows.
Yeah, McKinnon, he's got a little better with the silly offsides. That was one there. He had a few last season.
6 minutes of the 14 minutes of added time have transpired, so that means we still have 8 more minutes to go, Ross.
8 freaking more minutes.
Nico Campuzano in his USL League One debut. Surely this is not the way he anticipated he would make his entrance into the league.
Greenville just happy to slow build up here. I mentioned Hayden Anderson's finding himself in all sorts of space. He's been very impressive, the rookie.
Anderson taking it to the touch line, excuse me, the byline. McKinnon with a touch to his left, he shoots, knocked away. And that one will roll out. Anderson will throw this one back into play.
Very gifted with both feet, Liam McKinnon. Struck that one with his left, and now another long throw coming from Mr. Anderson.
And it slips through the hands of the keeper, and it's in! Greenville have the lead!
Well, well, well.
Disaster for Lexington! I'm not sure if anyone on Greenville got contact on that ball.
don't think so. I think just a good long throw by Anderson. Campuzano came to claim over some bodies and got two hands on it, and then Kalen Fox couldn't keep it out. He's kept a lot of balls out heroically during his time, and Campuzano just tried to jump into some Greenville bodies, and that's just an absolutely calamitous goal for the home team. From 2-0 down to 3-2 up, excuse me, 2-0 up and 3-2 down. Lexington shaking their heads.
It is a goal of incredibly unfortunate gravity for Lexington, who have found that this has been quite the derailing in the second half. Brown, and the flag goes up for offside.
Some cramping on the Triumph side of things. I want to apologize to the fans, Mark, for only being able to bring them 30 minutes of chaos. Oh, sorry, 30 plus 14.
Yeah.
There's a half, I guess.
I was gonna say nearly a full half of just League One mayhem.
But if you're not used to watching USL League One, this is the kind of thing that can happen on a regular basis. Still 5+ minutes to go.
It was all songs and cheering for Lexington for the first 60 minutes. A goal from Isaac Cano, the hometown kid, before the half concluded. And then Cameron Lancaster opening his goal scoring account on the year for Lexington in the second half. And then the script took a harsh turn. Greenville got more aggressive, found one back, and then things took a serious turn for the worst when goalkeeper Emil Knight was given a yellow and a red in succession, not having been booked up to that point, all of which not for contact, but for dissent. Greenville would score moments later and would continue to pile on until it was an unenforced error that led.
Well, it was a good throw, Mark. That forced the error from Campuzano. I mean, just coming off the bench like that, coming for a ball, got some traffic in the way. They did give the own goal to Kalen Fox. Crazy thing is, if nobody had touched the ball and it would have gone in, it wouldn't have counted. Campuzano got the touch, and Kalen Fox, the last touch is Anderson. Continues to do his thing here down the left side. He's going to earn a corner there. Oh, no.
Must have split the legs of Modesto Mendez, who in the Greenville assault here in the second half also had a clearance off the line to protect the lead at the time it occurred. Just to add another sprinkling of the chaos that has ensued here in what I would usually call the second 45 minutes of action, but I mean, we're gonna get nearly 60 minutes.
I'm not sure if we'll ever find out what Emil Knight said to referee Oliva. This is certainly a game that many fans are going to remember for the right and the wrong reasons, unfortunately. All the late drama in these matchups between Lexington and Greenville, but getting a little bit of a rivalry going here between the Greenville players and the Lexington fans, that's for sure.
Well, now the last three meetings between these two teams, Greenville has scored in added time.
Yeah, to either win or draw. Jamie Smith with those two. Jamie Smith with the assist earlier tonight on the Ben Zakowski goal in the 65th minute.
Yeah, we definitely saw a different Jamie Smith tonight, playing in that wing-back spot, of course. Is going to ask for different qualities from him. I think it's been a pretty impressive performance on his part on the right wing. Zakowski continuing to show effort here. Probably not quite how Greenville drew it up, but they have possession.
So Ben Zakowski hasn't looked out of place, Mark. worried that loss of Velasquez, how the Triumph would bounce back. Obviously, got a little bit of help here tonight. First goal did come before the red card. Get it back to 2-1. He continued to put the pressure on after that. Zakowski and Anderson doing a lot of the damage in that Greenville midfield. McKinnon with a lovely composed finish.
So I'm hearing we're going to get another minute added on, Ross, which means we are going to hit that 60 minutes played here in the second half. Some might suggest that some March Madness trickled into soccer, but as we've already emphasized over and over in this game, this is nothing new for USL League One. It's just the first time it's happened this season.
So we didn't get to see a true Galazzo goal. We got to see a Galazzo of an entire second half. 0-0 at the break. Lexington with the 2-0 lead, and now Greenville come all the way back to lead 3-2, but it's not over yet. Still at least another 30 seconds.
Christian Liu Young with bodies going forward. He'll relinquish control of the throw-in. It'll be Jorge Corrales. Can Lexington pull something out of the hat? A man down, have seen their lead fizzle away. Some warnings from Olvin Oliva.
Nope.
And another yellow card being given out. Christian Liu Young, his second yellow of the season. Corrales throws it in. This one headed away. Can Tate Robertson get there? Trying to get around Zakowski, but Zakowski does well. Now Robertson with the cross. Yakum!
It was there. Zakowski just being a little too cautious. Great work from Tate Robertson. Yankum couldn't keep it down. There's another look at it here. Zakowski was trying to shepherd it out of play, but Tate Robertson got away with a little bit of a hook there, but Yankum also there was Lancaster. Took it off him perhaps.
You can't knock either of the strikers for both pounding towards that ball. And this one's over. Welcome to the USL League One family, CBS Sports Galazzo. We had a wild one here in Lexington. Greenville with their second win of the season. Looked like Lexington were going to have a victory and have all 3 points in the second half. And then the tides turned. Well, let's take a trip down memory lane and look at the highlights from this game, starting with the goal in the first half. Breakaway opportunity. Lexington will look to thrive on these moments all season long. Diouf sets up Cano, and the hometown kid puts his team up top.
Yep, things look rosy at that point for Lexington.
And it only got rosier from here. Azad Liati dancing through several defenders and then placing this ball nicely centrally for Cameron Lancaster. 80 goals in USL Championship, now 1 goal in USL League One. But Greenville switched a lever and started to attack.
Zakowski, lovely near post run. Modesto Mendes didn't go with him. As a result, the rookie got a touch on it and went past Amal Knight, who will feature right here in a second. Watch Knight come out here. Good block by Corrales. Jamie Smith. Maybe that's what Amal Knight was complaining about, was the contact from Jamie Smith. And then there was the yellow followed by the quick red, and things would only get worse.
And that was the moment of infamy in this game. Ryan McKinnon quickly puts one into the back of the net. Eases some of that tension that can sometimes come with being a player up, that maybe you're not going to take advantage of the man up. But they wouldn't only tie the game, but they would find a lead in unconventional circumstances. Long throw in from Hayden Anderson.
Yeah, it was at this point that the Lexington fans wish they sold alcohol at Toyota Stadium.
Here are your full-time stats here between Lexington and Greenville. The Triumph obviously in that second half, especially as it wore on, really put a pounding to Lexington, just levying and peppering shots on goal, and eventually were able to convert 3 through and get all 3 points on the road, their first true road trip of the season in USL League One action. But for our entire broadcasting crew, this, our voyage match on a great League One journey in the CBS Sports Golasso Network. For our entire crew, Ross Davenport, I'm Mark Schoenster. We appreciate you tuning in. We hope you have a fantastic night. Your final score, Greenville 3, Lexington 2.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.
Lexington is the Kentuckiest place in the world. Just look at it. It's by far the bluegrassiest.